Hi guys, I'm super happy that I get to be here and share about missions and share about what God has placed on my heart. So for those who don't know me, my name is Carol. I'm 20 years old. I decided to get into full-time ministry when I was 16, and ever since then I've been going on mission trips almost every year. I've been to plenty of different countries and God has used me, and I kind of just want to share about what it's like being a woman minister as an Indian, because being in ministry itself is no joke. Add being an Indian and a woman on top of that, and then you just have a recipe for disaster. So, I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience. First thing I can say is God is faithful. He is so faithful. When I was younger, I went through a lot of depression. Nobody really ever believed in me. I was an immigrant here. I was born in India. We moved here with my family. I came into a church, and I just felt like nobody really believed in me. They give all these other girls and all these other people opportunities to do things, but nobody really thought I had anything to offer. And it really led to a lot of depression and me questioning my self-worth, like, God, what do I have to offer to you? Do I have a value? I don't know what to do anymore. It came to a point where I became really suicidal, and I was just like, what is my purpose in life? I feel like I'm just here to take up space. And one night I was just ready to end my life, and God spoke to me and he said, daughter, if you have no purpose for your life, give it to me and I'll give it purpose. And so after that, I switched schools, got myself in a different environment, got my prayer life back, and I was just like, okay, God, what now? I was actually 15, and that year I decided to go on a mission trip to India, and this mission trip completely changed my life. It was so hard. Walking for 10 miles in 105 degree weather is no joke. It was horrible. It was horrible, terrible. And I was just like, God, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this was meant for me. And, there's been many instances in my life where I questioned if this was the calling for me. But at the same time, it's like, you see these people, and these people have nothing. They are living with huts. They're living in places that don't have running water, and they have so many problems. One of the people that I've met there, they don't have a lot of money, and the only money they get is from begging on the street. But even in that situation, they are so joyful and they are so loving towards the Lord. And even in that dark situation, they have such a heart for God, and it kind of just opens up your perspective. So I just received that, and 16, I decided I was going to go to Bible college, and I told my parents, I'm going to go to Bible college, and they were like, no, that's not a good idea. Get your career first, and then you can go to Bible college. And I was just like, I can't do that. God told me I'm going to go to Bible college. And it came to a point where we were almost arguing every single night. And I was just like, God, if this is your calling on my life, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to fight with my parents every day. Either you change your heart, or I'm just going to do what they say, because I'm not going to fight with my parents every single day. And then one day, right before my graduation, there was a meeting at Metro where Pastor Chris Estrada was speaking. He's from CFNI, and they were both, my parents never go to conventions. They're always just like, conventions are just a social gathering, and so they never go to conventions. But for some reason, they were just like, okay, Carol, we'll go with you. So I was like, okay, sure, why not? So we get there, we're all sitting down, and by the end of this meeting, they both come to me and they're like, okay, go and sign up for Christ for the Nations right now. And I was like, why, what happened? They're like, well, we were both sitting in the meeting. God told us that this is our daughter, not your daughter. This is my daughter. And if you're not letting my daughter do what I told her to do, then I don't know what to tell you. So they were just like, okay, Carol, we're not going to argue with God. Go do it. And so I went to CFNI. I went for 2 years. And man, that completely changed my aspect. So first thing I really want to tell you is God is so faithful. A lot of times, even when God told me, Carol, you're going to be speaking on stages in different countries, I was like, me? Canadian culture, let's be real. Your opportunities are based on who you know, right? If you know somebody, then most likely you'll get an opportunity. If you don't know anybody and you don't have a place to show your talent, you're not going to get an opportunity. So I was kind of just like, God, I don't know how you're going to make this happen, but sure, whatever, let's do it. And so when you're faithful to God, He is faithful to you. One verse that I really love is in Hebrews chapter 6, verse 18. It says, so that by two unchangeable things, in which it is impossible for God to lie. Okay? So when God says, I have a calling over your life, when God says that I have created you and formed you for a particular purpose, and if He says, God says, I'm going to take you all over the nations, I'm going to use you to change lives, it's going to happen. Because it is impossible for God to lie. His words have so much power that even if He said something, it just comes into existence. Because that's the power of our God. And we've been made in that image. That just shows the power of our voice, right? No matter what we say, if we speak life over ourselves, if we speak positivity over other people, that's what happens. Because we were made in God's image. We were created for that kind of power and authority and to be able to walk in that. And so God is so faithful. And one of my favorite people in the Bible is Gideon. This guy, I just love him so much because when we see him in Judges chapter 6, he's hiding away from the army, right? And God comes to him and He's like, you mighty man of valor. And Gideon's like, where? Like, I'm hiding. I don't want to do anything. And God's like, you mighty man of valor. I've called you to free my people. I've called you to go attack the army that you're hiding from. See, when God calls us and God talks to us, He doesn't see us as we are. He sees us as what He created us to be, right? He sees us as what I love what Tiffany said about us all having different personalities, because if you think about it, in this life, right, how many people have existed? Millions and billions of people. But no people are ever the same. No two people are ever the same. And that's because the way we can see God is different from the way another person sees God. That's why one person can never wrap their mind around who God is, because He's so amazing. And that means what you can do for the world, no one else can do that. And if you're not walking in God's calling, the world is missing that. The world is missing a piece of what God wanted you to show. That's so important. And it doesn't just have to be on a stage. It doesn't just have to be traveling around the world. It's being right where you are. You can be Jesus to the person around you. But if you didn't do what God wanted you to do, that person may have never seen Jesus for them. It's so important to remember that. I like how, and a lot of times, it's so easy to get discouraged. I like in Judges chapter 7 where Gideon is about to fight this army and he kind of loses his faith. He's like, God, never mind. Like, I can't do this. I'm not good at this. And then God says, okay, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the enemy's camp and I just want you to sit there and listen. Don't do anything. Just go into the camp and just sit there. And so he's sitting there and he hears a conversation that's going on. So this guy is talking to his comrade and he's just like, man, I just had this dream of, someone coming and attacking our camp and we're just like completely obliterated. Like, I don't know what this could mean. And his comrade turns around and says to him in verse 14, it says, this is none other than the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, the man of Israel. God has given into his hand the Midian and all the camp. See, the thing is, when God calls you, not only is He going to be able to fulfill His calling for your life, but He's going to do it in such a way that the people that didn't even believe in you will be able to see it. Right? Even in Exodus, whenever Pharaoh was tormenting the Israelites, whenever Moses was showing all these miraculous signs, the Pharaoh's magicians were like, man, this is the living God. See, our goal is not to just like put ourselves on parade, but it's like in whatever I do, I want God to be honored. I want people to see my testimony. I want people to see my life and be like, wow, God's hand is all over that person. God is doing some crazy things, and I want that for my life too. And this brings me to my next point. I think as a society, we have put such a limit on God's power. Like, we have put such a limit, and it's like to a point where we stop praying for the little things. My mom has a habit of praying for things before she goes shopping. Like, if she wants shoes, she's like, Jesus, please, I want good shoes. Get me good shoes in my size. And she'll get it. Like, I'm just like, Mom, why do you pray about it? And she's like, pray without ceasing. Why can't I talk to Jesus like that? And I'm like, that's so true, We've lost that kind of power. One thing I want to share with you is in John, let me turn over here. John chapter 14, verse 12 to 14. If I can get to it, that'd be great. Okay, yep, here we go. Truly I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do. Number one, he'll do the works that I do. Let's think about what Jesus did. He walked on water, raised the dead to life. We can do that. But here's where it gets even better. And because I'm going to the Father, whatever you ask in my name, I will do what the Father asked me. And you will do greater things than I did when I was on this earth. Greater things will he do when he asks of me. God says, you will do greater things than even I did when I was on this earth, right? And one example of this is in Acts chapter 5. Acts chapter 5, verse 15 to 16, okay? This is so cool. And I think I was talking to Michelle about this last time. I'm like, this is my goal. I want to be able to do this in my life. So here we go. Acts chapter 5, verse 15 and 16. So that they even carried the sick out to the street and laid them out on cots and mats, that Peter, as he came by, at least that his shadow might fall and heal some of them. Okay, Peter, the guy that betrayed Jesus, he would walk by people and his shadow would heal people. To the extent where people understood that he has this amazing gift, that they would lay the sick on the side of the street, that as he walks by, that they may receive that healing. Where is that kind of power today? Like, are we walking, like, we always hear the term, like walking in the supernatural, but it's not just a term. When we walk in the supernatural, God's Holy Spirit is just circulating us, that wherever we walk, that the people around us should feel his presence, right? Where has that power gone, though? We don't really see people like that anymore. One thing that really changed my perspective whenever I got to CF&I is we did a lot of street ministry, and man, God, you don't understand or fathom God's power till you experience it yourself, right? There was this one time, me and a group of my friends, we were walking around and we were praying for people that were sick, and there was one person that was in their wheelchair and their leg was broken, and we started praying over it. And we started praying. We prayed for a while, and then we heard a crack, like, we're like, okay, let's keep going. We keep praying, and then, and we saw this bent leg go straight. This guy started walking in front of us. He could not walk. He had never walked in his whole life. But God, in that instant, when we prayed, started moving his legs. That is the power of our God, and that is the power of what happens when we walk in spirit and authority, okay? And being women of God, let me tell you, I had so many people come against me whenever I started Bible college. In fact, there was an uncle that came to my house and told my parents, your daughter's never going to amount to anything because there's no room for women in ministry. That's just how the world is. But you know what? I can say that that's not what my God says. Because in the Bible, there are women that led men into the battlefield. In the Bible, there was a woman that saved her whole nation. In the Bible, like Lydia, she was the one who corrected men. She corrected men when they did bad doctrine. That's the power that God gives us women. But we need to make sure that we're not just wasting it away. I would have never thought in my life that I would be where I am. I would never thought that God would have opened doors for me to minister to different cultures, to different countries, to different churches, even in America and in Canada and Cambodia. And it's just like, that's God's faithfulness. That's his faithfulness. If he proclaims something over your life, he is faithful and just to make it come to pass. Who is man to say otherwise? Who is man to get in between of what God has promised? We should never let other people's opinion get the better of us. But another part of that is we should never allow ourselves to compare to other people, right? The thing, I remember Tabitha talking about this yesterday, that comparing ourselves to other people's gifts and other people's abilities is kind of ridiculous. Why? Because like I said before, God created everybody so different and so unique. You can only do what you can do and nobody else can do it. So for you to want what someone else has, why? God made you unique. You can do something that nobody else in this whole world can do and probably never will be able to do. Because that's how he made you, right? When we're fighting on the same team, when we're fighting all for the expansion of God's kingdom, if somebody's ministry is flourishing, we need to be able to encourage them. We need to be able to step up as women. And I know as women it's so hard because we compare ourselves all the time. We try to find our worth with how other people identify us. But you know what? We need to stop, right? Our identity doesn't lie in other people, but it lies in God, right? We are not who we are without God. We only have power and authority and true beauty because of what God sees in us. And when we walk in that authority, we get filled with that kind of spirit. And we need to be able to break down the barriers and break down the walls of comparison. Break down the walls and the barriers of jealousy. Out of jealousy and contempt comes only vile and vicious things, says James. God says we need to love each other and support our brothers whenever they're doing ministry. In prayer, financially, that's our job. We need to be upholding each other, not destroying our own team. That doesn't make sense. So, I know I kind of took a little too much time, but I hope that's encouragement to you guys. First thing is, God is faithful. If he's called you, he's faithful and just to do it, because God can't lie. If he said something and proclaimed something over your life, he's going to make it happen. And the second thing is, don't let what other people say get you down, because the only opinion that really matters is God, right? And I hope you're blessed by it. Thank you.